Hi, it's Derpy Moose 99 here with episode 3 of series 2, Banished with megamod 9. I had a little bit of a video glitch last time, or finger glitch, or head glitch, or whatever you want to call it. But the game did run a little bit farther than where the last video ended. So, one of the things I was looking at here is we're going to start trading firewood. And our two sawmills down below, I actually want to use for lumber later on, so we need to build additional sawmills and up our firewood game. So I've laid in 4 sawmills up in our, call it our forest town up here. And this is where we've got 2 forest nodes, but we've got some room over here that's not really big enough for a forest node. So we make this a bit of an industrial area before we expand across the river here. So we don't have the manpower right now. We have, or person power I should say. We have 2 builders and 3 laborers, and I've gone through all the houses off camera, and we don't have a lot of people that are ready to graduate. And down in our original forest node here, we have folks that are nearing the sail off in the sunset point. So what's going to happen here, I think, is we're going to have a lull in population growth. So I think what we should do, let's do a little bit of cleanup, get a few things started here, and then let's pause for a while and let it run so we can get a few things built and maybe get a little more population so we can continue our expansion. Now the next expansion I want to do is over to the left here into this lake, and like I said, I want to borg on the lake. I want to take over the whole lake with food and also with production. I want to get into survival coats big time and rope, so we're going to need a lot of reed production and food, of course. Never forget about food. And there's a few roads here I should probably clean up. So yeah, on the roads, I start with dirt roads because the stone supply is a bit shaky, but our industrial supplier just came up. So I think this is, again, our stock on hand is pretty good. So I think this is a good time to kind of upgrade some of these roads, but you probably don't want to watch me do that. The other thing I want to do here, this is just our farm supplier getting ready to come up. Now this thing we put 800 firewood in there just to start with. We're going to have to be really careful with early trading here before we get solid firewood production. In that vein, though, I did turn up a stacks burner to do charcoal. Oh, there's our first trader. So let's try and keep track. So that's 1. Make a little note here. I want to see how many actual different merchants come to these docks. Our firewood's good right now. We don't need any of the other stuff. So let's just set you to order log, stone, and I think we'll go building supplies and iron. I don't know if I want to mine my own iron or make my own iron. So let's think about trading an iron this time or just importing it. Okay, you can go away. Now I was talking about glass. So one thing we need to make glass is sand. And there's something called a village sand pit, which sort of fits with the docks here. Okay, that's a bit of a distance from town, but we're going to be building more houses here for the dock workers, so let's see if that builds. Also off camera, I put in, I think over here, a hospital to be built, and up here a little mini hospital somewhere out here, or tiny hospital. So I'm just going to let those build as they will. I'm not going to prioritize them. Now the forest nodes up here are not fully turned on yet. There's 1 log cabin waiting to be built in each location. It's probably going to be a little while before we need those houses, but we'll keep an eye on it. So one thing you can do, this might be worth doing here, is just turn on the gatherer, and there's 12 people assigned. So with 4 gatherers huts, it'll just change to 3 per hut, and then when you need more food later, you can come back and add folks. So it's showing question mark right now, but it'll quickly change. So there's enough houses in each of these nodes to do that. And it looks to me like this hunter, well, you know, we could do the same thing. They're just turning on, and they'll sort of distribute themselves around. Okay, and we'll have to remember to go back and add people later. Okay, there's our farm supplier. Now, I am going to put 1,000 firewood in here because the most expensive seeds are 4,000. But I'm going to be super, super careful about when I can trade and when I can't. I think we're just going to put one person in there. Now down on the docks here, we've only got one house. And I think I put 2 traders in there. So we're going to have to build some more houses here pretty quick. Okay, let's have a look here. It says we're short one house right now. Let's have a quick look at our food graph. It's getting better. Look at our inventory. Yeah, we'll have to do something with the flowers and the fodder soon. Nothing else really jumps out at me there. Charcoal, we've got 225. You know what I might do? We've only got 1 guildsman working here. Let's pump this up to 2. And as soon as that sawmill comes up, we'll up the fuel limit as well too. But let's get some strong charcoal here, so we can use that for the houses while we trade the firewood. Okay, so it did say we're short 1 house. So I'm going to build 2. I did have the objective of trying to keep the build queue down. And of course, right away I get it out of hand. So I'm going to pause some of this stuff here. And those 2 lab cabins actually can go away. So let's just... I think I'm going to put a priority on the sawmill up here. Now we're going to have to add some people here. But for now, there probably is enough people in the houses here. Oops. Okay. Yeah, probably because I activated these over here. There's some goofy path and that'll sort itself out. So it actually looks like those houses are working on this forest node. Okay, we're going to have to add more houses here anyway. But we'll do that after we expand the docks here. So let's build that sawmill. We've got some roads going in. We're upgrading. Probably what would help our expansion into the lake is building a house over here. But we don't really have the requirement for that right now. Okay, we've got 1 crop field come up. Now I built 2 crop fields here, not because that's where I want to grow food, but I want to get some seeds. And if we get into a food jam, we can fire those up and put in a couple of more. The other thing is if we get rice seeds, we can plant the rice and then we can grow the rice farms. In order to get the rice farms going in the lake, either you need rice in stock to build them. So you either buy rice from the food vendors or you grow rice from a seed. Okay, I think I'll get the sawmill up and then maybe go on pause and let this run for a while. Oh, I also built a storage barn up here. I should actually have 3, but I'll just put 1 in for now. Why the storage barns are there is they're just outside the forest nodes, and sometimes these barns tend to fill up. So right now this one's at 93% full. So I'd like to have a barn sort of at each end if possible. Now saying that, I noticed I never even built my original barn in town here, in the central town. That's a bit of a derp. Okay. We just had a few people graduate, so let's put this into full production. And let's go up to, say, 3,200 on the fuel. Okay. These houses aren't building so far. So you get the general idea of what I want to achieve here. I want to grow this area here and make it our firewood production for now. And I want to grow over to the left here, maybe build a house in the woods and then get started on the lake. And I'd love to import rice, or buying a rice seed actually would make me happy. When I was debating on whether to go for a seeds trader or a farm supplier that will do both seeds and livestock, I've decided to go for the farm supplier. As I've said a couple of times, I've actually installed the patch to make the pastures better correctly this time, so that should work for us. So I'm actually thinking of that. Why don't we build a little... Now here I am adding to the build queue again. But why don't we put... a little 11 by 11. You know what, we can actually go a bit bigger. Oh, there's a building there. Okay, why don't I throw a pasture in there? That's outside the forest node, so what that'll be for is just like a holding pen. So if you buy livestock, they will stay in the port for a while, but they'll actually die if you leave them there too long. So you want to move them out to, where they're going to be in their new home. But if you don't have a full-size pasture built yet, it's not a bad idea to have a holding area over to the side. Okay, so I'm going to pause it, and then we'll run forward. We'll try and get some more people to work with and get some of these things built. Thank you. Hi there, I'm back for a little status update here. I noticed something in the lower forest node here. We have a 22-year-old student. So I talked a little bit last episode about having schools closed and stuff. This is getting excessive in my opinion, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put another school in now. It's not super close, but it's closer than the other one. And it will service both this forest node and then the town houses we build. Okay, our fields have come up, our pasture hasn't. I've traded for a few seeds. So what we have for seeds so far: cotton, spinach, and lentils. Now, I didn't use cotton last series, so what I'm going to do here, and we don't have coat production yet, so I'm going to put 2 plantations down here, just above the southern forest node, and we're building a barn there. Probably add another little mini barn over this way, and maybe one there. So we'll build those. We still don't really have a lot of people power yet, so we're gonna have to wait till we bring those up. Let's see, I've decided to build a second blacksmith just to make sure our production stays up. We are trading in iron. We've accumulated 182 iron so far, so I've switched the first blacksmith to iron tools. Our tool limit's 100. I might even build another blacksmith. I did forget to build all these barns in town, so that's being done now. Up here we built a few more houses. We built another sawmill, but don't have the people to activate it yet. But it's good backup. Our food is holding pretty good. We're at 3,700. Look at our graph here, going up nicely. We still have room in the gathering huts for 2 people, and in the hunters for 2 people. So that's some extra food production we have. These 2 fields are ready, almost are ready. And we have our backup little forest node here. So I'm going to go back on pause because I let the building queue get pretty big. And also we're just not getting the number of people growth. So I see people, there's people becoming of age. Yeah, there's a few that need houses there. Okay, so I see we'll get some population not too long from now. So I'm going to go back on pause here, and we'll let some more of this run, clean up the building queue, I promise, and let's see where we go from there. Okay, back from a pause. Now, decision time here. Our pasture has built, our temporary holding pasture, and there's chickens have showed up. So I think I'm going to take them. Quite keen to see what happens with the mod on the pastures. Now, in the past, I hardly ever built pastures because for the area that they take up, they don't really produce very much. But with this new mod, what is that called? Busy pastures, okay, for megamod. All right, so let's take these chickens. 800. All right, my math is on because I made coffee before I started, so always a good plan, I think. Okay, we can afford 1. So 8 of 69. Now that's not the world's biggest pasture, so that's cool. Okay, another house is built. So I did build 2 plantations. I've got 1 doing cotton. I keep making New Year's resolutions not to let the building queue get out of hand, and it's a little bit out of hand at the moment, but stuff is building. The other problem, I laid in a bunch of roads, so another log cabin. So hard to see in the snow, but there was a lot of people walking up through the forest here, so just outside of the yellow circles from the forest node, I built an angled stone road that comes out, around, down. And like I said, it's hard to see with the snow, but angles over here and comes straight down over here. I don't know if it's actually been built yet, but it's laid in. The other thing here is this. Let's have one look at it here. Since we have too many houses. This is in a bad location because we're going to expand in blacksmiths. So I prefer having my town arrival or town hall or whatever I use close to the farm supplier so I can quickly check what seeds we have. So let's go in here and see what options we have. Now some of these are massive, and what I find too is the smaller ones don't seem to attract nomads, and I'm a little bit allergic to nomads at the moment. Well, that one looks kind of cool. I think a tower in the port is probably a good idea. Let's try that one. Small town hall. Okay, so we'll move that over there. Let's run that right out. Okay, so we're going to move that. We're also upgrading our second blacksmith build, so we're upgrading the first one, although we don't have the building supplies yet. And on counting the vendors here for this industry supplier, there's been 3 different traders show up so far. So I set the first 2 for iron, building supplies, log and stone, and the third one is set for homewares, log and stone. And I can't remember if I did iron or not. So definitely decided that we're going to import iron to make tools out of iron for now. And then I think down the road we'll build a bridge here and maybe put a coal mine over there. I'm not sure if I want to import coal or not. Usually 15 people in a coal mine is enough for a fairly large-sized town. Okay. Things are building. I'm building a house over here to the left. And then when we have a few more people, we'll start the lake. And I'm going to build up these sawmills so that they're available. But right now our fuel is holding pretty good. We've built a lot of charcoal. So I might back that off by 1. Keep an eye on that. That's our fuel for the houses. Although, I mean, they're all using firewood too, but just in case I do a lot of trading, we drain all the firewood away. And I built another schoolhouse down here. Doesn't have any students yet, it just came up. But there was some fairly old students in here. Now, unfortunately, students don't move. If you build a new school, you have to wait for people to grow up and stuff like that. You can force some of that by, you could come in here, you could mark it for, or stop working it, and people will move to the other school, but that means you're just moving everybody. So the people that were going to school from, say, up here or something would move as well too. Yeah, there's a few students up here, so there's not really a viable alternative there unless you maybe build a temporary small school here, turn this one off. The people from up here will go to the small school, and the people from down here will go to this one. But that's a lot of messing around just to save a few years in graduation, so I'm not going to do that. So there's an update, and still not getting a lot of people as far as growth, so we'll let that run for a bit more. Okay, I'm back with an update. Our small town hall is built, and I see where you need houses. And I spotted something here that's actually, I don't know if anybody knows this, but I overbuilt on the houses initially, so what happened was some happy couples split up just because they were working at different locations. I guess they wanted a shorter commute. So when you run into that situation, it's kind of a waste. Now my understanding is they're still together, still having babies, so it doesn't hurt the growth, but it does take up extra housing. And if I spot it kind of annoys me. So what you do in this case is you wait until you have a housing demand. So there's pent up demand. And you come in here and you just mark it for destruction, and then you reclaim it. So that kicks them out. And 9 times out of 10, you'll have a new happy couple move into that house. And the couple that was split up is now back together, whatever their location. And then as the game chugs on, the work assignments will change and everybody will be happy. So let's just quickly take care of that. Okay, this is our house out in the woods here. Okay, and that worked out. And we still need some houses. Okay, so we'll figure out where to lay that in. So decided to build this general trading post now that we've got an iron supply. And the other happy thing is the 4th trader showed up at this industry supplier here. So I set him for all the usual stuff for next trip. But he had a bunch of glass on him, so I bought the glass. It doesn't show in here yet. It might still be in transit, or it's still in here. Now it's not in there, so somebody's moving it around. Maybe even this person with the wheelbarrow here. So what that means though is we can build a few greenhouses. So let's keep this running because there's still, well, build queue's not as bad as it was. Okay, we're building our sand pit over here, so we'll put a glass maker in when that comes up. So a couple things we're going to take care of. So let's think about, we need, in order to have the greenhouses work, we need a stable doing fodder. So where do we want to put that in? I think we'll build this out. Looks like we laid something in there. So in an effort to try and do little different things, I was looking here and there's, instead of we used these water tanks last time, but there's these city water tanks I think were kind of cool. So I'm going to put some of these in down by the barn over here. Say 2 for now. Okay, and why don't we leave room for another row of houses here. Now fodder, I think we should do some storage here. Fodder I think is a miscellaneous barn. So let's put a miscellaneous barn in. Now the trick will be to find where those were. No, it's not that one. Ah, here we go. Now we gotta get the right stable here. This one here makes fertilizer. So let's put one of those in. And we've got the water tanks. Okay, so we're gonna let that build, and that'll get our fertilizer going. And I think if we have a quick look here at the greenhouses, yeah, there's 48 glass required for these type of greenhouses. So I think we have enough for 2 or maybe even 3 greenhouses. So, but let's get the fertilizer production going here. And the other thing that would be useful to put in here is something to make the cotton into. Okay, so weaving. That uses flax. Uh-oh, fire. Okay. Let's just save here. Now, I've got disasters turned on in this series, but my kind of house rule is if we have a tornado come through town and clean everything out, I'm going to reload. And if a fire gets out of control and burns like everybody to death, I'm going to reload. So we'll deal with the disasters, but sometimes they get a little out of hand. So let's see where this is. Okay, we got a fire in our southern forest node. Not the end of the world. And we have a well here. Now, I put these biddy wells in because they're, we were short on resources and they're easy to build. But let's see if we can actually fight fires with these things. Did I make a fatal mistake or not? So let's, we'll prioritize the burning house and let her rip here. Okay, it looks to me like they are using that well, which is good. Ah, cool, okay. So we lost 2 log cabins, we'll just rebuild those. And reminds me of the fact too, I haven't built a boarding house yet, but our build queue is, it's the usual build queue that Derpy Moose 99 does. Habits are hard to break, especially when you've been around for a while. Okay, there's our trading posts. Now this is the general trading post. So I think we'll just put 1 person in here. And let's go for 1,000 firewood. We're not trading in anything else yet. Although we could put flowers and stuff in there, I don't really want to. Alright, let that go. Now we have quite a few people, so I suspect we're short on houses. Yeah, it says 5 houses. I know what I was trying to say, and I didn't manage to get out of my mouth last time, is when this says you need 5 houses, what it's saying is that there's 5 people that have grown of age, right? Or it's an approximation, I guess. What it sometimes doesn't count is that when people graduate, come of age, and they move into a house, sometimes they marry students and not other graduated people. So that's why this number is off. Also because there's a lag in building and there's typically a growth in population. You can typically build ahead of this number. So if it says 5, I could probably get away with building 7. But for now, we'll just do 5. So because we have extra workers and we're trading a lot of firewood, I'm going to turn this one on. And let's just build, say, I don't know, 2 more here. We don't need to track those. Okay, now down here we've added the plantations. And we're going to put the stable, and there's these wells here. So I think we'll add 3 houses there. Maybe even 4. Okay, so they can work this stuff down here. Oh yeah, and we were going to figure out what kind of weaver we were going to use here. That says linen. Yeah, none of these say cotton, so I think I'm going to have to use the standard one. Yeah, that one looks okay, but this one was smaller. Yeah, let's go that guy. Okay, and I think I'm going to prioritize this stuff down here. Okay, the other thing I was going to try and figure out is where do we want to put our glass maker? And which glass maker we're going to use. So let's go and have a look. I think it's in construction down here. Okay, there's a normal glass maker. Glass works. I don't think I've used that one before. Yeah, it kind of fits okay there. Okay, so let's build that. Okay, by the way, this industry supplier is up to 4 traders now. I should probably set auto purchase for construction here. Let's say 6 for now. I don't think we have many building supplies. Yeah, we have exactly 0. Okay. Okay, we can't really use it right now. We don't have enough firewood there. Okay, let's dismiss you, but let's up that. Okay, I'm going to try and keep my hands off the build button here and just let some of this stuff go and we can start working here. Somebody fell off a ladder and died. That's sad. Okay, let's check and see if these houses built. No, not yet. Let's see, what is our population? Yeah, no, that says where it says we're 2 houses over what's required. But let's watch these. I bet there's people waiting. I'm still not explaining what I'm trying to say very well about that number, but like I say, it's approximately right, but it's not totally right. Okay, so our weavers come up. Let's make sure this is set for cotton. And we can put 2 in here, but I think we're just going to go 1 for now. One thing to be aware of too on these resources, some of the resource limits at default are very small. So I've gone in here I've maxed out fabrics and I've maxed out textiles. If you don't do that, the default numbers are very low. I can't remember what they are, like 200 or something, but you'll quickly run up against the limit and wonder why the heck you're not producing anything. So just keep an eye on that stuff. Now, sometimes when you get heavy production, you want to come back here and manage it back down. But for now, a lot of these, I would just say max them out with all 9s. Okay, our stables come up. This is a cool thing. Let's max that out. Put some workers back into laborers here. So let's build up a little bit of fertilizer. Okay, there's our water tanks. Okay, we'll run heavy on builders here. And I think, you know, our food is good. I don't think we have to worry too much about this forest, backup forest node over here. Or I should say backup mini forest node. Why don't we do a little clearing of the ground here so we can actually see where we're building. Now our sand pit has started up here too. Let's put one person in for now. Let's build up a little bit of stock and then we'll shut it off. So there's a stockpile here for raw materials. There's also a requirement for more houses down here as well too. So I think we'll add a few houses maybe in this block here. So I've laid all this out for, you know, city expansion. And I think the marketplace, yeah, covers most of this. Although we might want to put a small school down here. Okay, now this is at the general trading post. So why don't you always bring us, I'm going to say coal, iron ore, tin ore, and salt. Okay, every visit. Now those are just for backup, or if we want to do a small project or something. Okay, we're not really using iron ore right now. And we've got 848 in stock, so I think we can just let you go. Cows. We're not really ready for pasture expansion, so I'm just going to say goodbye. Haven't checked on the chickens lately. So they're busy making eggs. Also, I think in the last series it said something like you have to buy eggs to make chicken coops on the docks. But I was reading some patch update notes and it looks like the gatherers have been patched back so they gather eggs now. You can see it's a little bit intermittent, but so there's a note. You can go ahead and build the dock chicken coops if you have gatherers working. So our hospitals have built, so now we have a full-size hospital and 2 tiny hospitals. Or 1 tiny, 1 mini as it turns out. But don't really have the people to staff those, so they're waiting. Yeah, we have 232 iron, so, and we're auto purchase 100, so you're good to go. Okay, it did say we're overbuilding houses by 2, so let's watch these 2. So a young couple moved in there. And a young couple moved in there, okay? So I actually built, so we have what it says is 4 homes too many, but it's actually not true. You know, it's not off by a major amount, but just because of the way it does the calculation, which I'll still try and figure out how I can explain that better. So if you are interested in growth, and you have, you know, more than a dozen people, like we've got 122 at the moment, you can build extra houses and use that tenant management trick I showed you if you get a split up couple. Okay, how much are we getting in the way of fertilizer? 6. 63 actually. Okay, so let's think where we want the greenhouses to go. So I think this is going to be a fairly robust town. We have a lot of room here to build stuff. So I think we're going to want a fair amount of reserve space for houses. And we're also going to want food specific storage. So let's go, okay, we'll go one general food warehouse for now. And let's have a look at these greenhouses and see how they fit. Let's get the right one here. So the reason why I got the glass is these are the greenhouses where they have a wide range of seeds you can use. And they're also the ones I think produced the best per person in the last series. Although again, I don't think I gave them a full chance. So these are 5 wide. I just might go 2 like that. And I wonder if our glass shows up in our inventory now. 132. So these are 48, which would be 144. So we can build 2. Okay, but our glass maker has come up. Sand and firewood, sand and charcoal. Oh, I see this one here, why it's called a glass maker. It makes either glass or glassware, which I assume is for building supplies or homewares or something like that. Probably could also trade it too. Okay, I think for now we'll put this guy on sand and firewood. Well, how much charcoal do we have? Fair amount. Now let's put him on... Firewood's probably the safest. Keep the charcoal as much as we can for the houses. Oh, this is going to be in the construction category. Okay, we're going to have to keep an eye on that because that means lumber and building supplies and homewares are all in that category. And right now we're over that number, which means none will be actually made. So let's turn off our lumber maker here and remember that we did that. Bump this up to say, oh, not that much, up to say 500. And get one person in there working. Now, if that's going to be construction, let's put a little construction stockpile in here. Okay, let's have a look at our food graph. I haven't checked that in a while. Okay, dipping a little bit. Okay, we have a few people here. Let's maybe max out the gathering huts and hunting lodges and say goodbye to that. We also got our 4th forest node here. Okay, we need 2 more people for the forest node, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. Okay, let's think about our lake expansion here. So let's put a small stockpile in there. Maybe throw another one over here just for future collection. Okay, let's actually expedite that stockpile. Okay, the stockpile's expedited. Food was dipping a little bit, so why don't we get these greenhouses going? I'm going to up the tool limit to 200 here. If we can hit that, we have enough blacksmiths. If not, we should probably build a few more. I'm going to have to figure out a way of figuring how long the videos are, because if you don't pause, you can just put a timer on or something like that. When I'm pausing here and stuff like that, I'm not sure where we're at for length of time here, so maybe we can start our expansion into the lake. Do a bit of a summary, get some of these things going, and then call that an episode. Okay, 2 traders here. A craftsman. Okay, why don't we get you bringing lamp oil and candles? Well, candles I'm going to make. Lamp oil at least every visit. I don't think there's much else there we want for now. Okay, and how much iron? We got 293 iron plus 100 we just bought, so we're good to go. Let's up our firewood here. Let's go to 1200. So that reminds me, probably the next thing we want to do is get some perfume going. You know, what do we have for seeds already? We've got apricot, cotton, spinach, and lentils. Probably want something a little more diverse, but peanuts. How about peanuts? I love peanuts. A fine diet of lentils and peanuts. Okay, let's do an impatient priority on the greenhouses. Where are we at for people here? Okay, short houses. So let's build 3 houses there and maybe a house down there. Okay, let's watch those. So that's 1 extra from what it said, I think. See if I'm telling the truth or if I'm just a babbling idiot. Well, probably know the answer to that by now. Okay, we need to clean this area out here. I think I might as well just call it end of life for a little mini backup forest node here. So I always like to start off the dock run here with a connector. Yeah, something like that. Okay, let's clear a little bit more out. Actually, where's our forest node? Stops around here. Why don't we clear a bunch of this stuff out? Clean things up here. Okay, there's one house, two houses. Yeah, okay, so it says we're overbuilt by one, and I'm going to build two more. Okay, there's our first greenhouse. So let's review. My house rule is you have to use, or you can't use seeds in the greenhouse that you haven't purchased or don't have. So we have peanuts, apricots, spinach, and lentils. Oh, that hurts me bad. Spinach. Alrighty then. So where are we at here? We're in late spring. Okay, let's let that run. Curious to see the production. So last time I used them, I didn't have enough houses close by and the pathing was awful. Okay, so that one's about 2 inches away. So you can be spinach as well too, sadly. Okay, so hopefully the pathing is good on that one too. So my overbuild theory got a step too far, so let's pause that. So this is the house on the end. We need to do our little trick, see if anybody else. Now we've just had 4 deaths too, so that changes the situation. I do feel sad about kicking people out without having... there's a young couple moved in. So can we jam? I don't really know what options there are for boarding houses here. That one's pretty big. It's an old one. Yeah, just really I'm looking at this space here. It's kind of a triangular space. Not really useful for much, but we can put it in other places here too. Where was this one? The big, huge one. And it uses glass as well. Why don't we put that there? That's kind of space we're not using right now. I'll feel better if kicking people out if we have a boarding house. Okay, I'm going to power level this. Just so that looks a little cleaner. Okay, and to facilitate our expansion out here, we're just going to build a few at a time or one at a time. Okay, there's our smithy upgrade, so let's upgrade that guy. Let's put an extra one in, so... Okay, we have 2 blacksmiths making iron tools. So our tool limit is 200. We're currently at 95, so that meant 1 blacksmith wasn't enough. So let's upgrade this second one and see if just having 2 blacksmiths working is enough or if we need a second blacksmith building. Okay, that building's on pause. Yeah, we've had a number of people graduate, so let's actually open that back up. Okay, what have we got here? We've got cotton already. Kind of looking for some more crop diversity. I don't really want to be eating spinach all the time. Parsnips. Why don't we go sweet potato? Okay. So this might be a good point to sort of take summary and think about ending the episode. So let's have our overview here. So we're at 129 citizens. Our food graph is back to looking good. Inventory, let's just see what we have the most of. Yeah, we have a bunch of fodder, thatch, and flowers. So, next episode is going to be a perfume build, I think. So up here we have this sort of forest home, if you want to call it that. So there's forest nodes on 3 sides here, but there's a space over here. So I think what we're going to do, I'll just mark that while I think of it. Let's clear some space here. And maybe what we'll do is we'll have a perfume build up here. No, I think we had 15,000 flowers, yeah. So let's make a pretty massive perfume build and see how that works for us. Down here we're not getting only 68 cloths, so let's turn this plantation on. And there's a derp for you. I built the cotton plantations. I built the weavers. But I still, and what are we in? Year 17. I have not built a tailor yet. So let's remedy that. It's got to make you wince thinking about all the rags these people have been wearing for 17 years. Okay, let's have a quick look at our greenhouses here. Okay, so this one's already produced 308. And I think, and that was put in the spring, so it's only been like 6 months or 4 months, somewhere in there. Out of these greenhouses in the last series where I had the pathing problems, I was only getting like 400 a year out of them, so I'm going to think that that's already an improvement. Okay, I'll have a look at our pasture down here. We're not up to maximum yet, but it is growing pretty quickly. And that's decent production for one person. Over 200 food, that's good. Every person uses 100 food, so if you produce more than you use, you're contributing. Okay, and we've started our lake build. And I probably should build a few more of these. Okay, but I think we accomplished a fair amount. Getting that early glass was kind of cool. Okay, so some of these setups, like these 2 farms and these 2 plantations, I mostly plan for our central area here to be industrial. So as we build rural communities and stuff, we'll move that production out. But for now, I think that works. We had 1 fire, which we've rebuilt from. Well, it's an empty log cabin. So far so good, I think. As always, I appreciate any comments or feedback and suggestions. And I am DerpyMoose99, and that was episode 3 of Series 2 Banished with megamod 9. Thank you.